Hi there, my name's John Grimsmo and welcome to another fantastically wonderful Knife Making Tuesday. This week I'm going to be turning titanium. This is the back side that's already been machined. Be flipping it over and machining the top side. So I've got two different styles here. A couple weeks ago I machined the back side and you can see they're all profiled and pokey. And just thin enough that I can break them apart, although I don't have to because they'll go right on. So that's one way I've done it, and then I also changed it up a little bit and started doing it like this. Kind of hard to see the difference here, but basically it's got all the same stuff without being profiled out. So for some reason I have a habit of completely overcomplicating my products, my knives, which is a good thing for you guys, but a bad thing for me, because it takes an incredible amount of time and thinking and coding and writing, and yeah, it's very confusing, very time consuming, but very, very awesome. So the back side of the handles may look kind of simple, but they're quite complicated. And as far as the machining operations involved, there's thread milling and precision holes and all that stuff. Top side of the handles, which goes here, give you an example here. I just finished coating the top side of the handles with a bunch of changes from the last batch. And there are 29 separate machining operations just to do the top side of a pair of handles. Crazy, I know. Using 10 separate tools, some of them do a couple operations per tool, but yeah, 29 separate operations. So this fixture is my base plate for both the handles fixtures and the clips fixtures. Goes on my Mighty Bite Vac Magic. So this is completely solid on the bottom with two locating pins. There and there. That locates on, vacuums down, not going anywhere. And then, for testing purposes, I've just got one pair of handles on the top here. And I'm just going to run one pair to test out the code and make any tweaks and stuff necessary. So this goes onto there with two fixture pins. Just like so. And then I can screw this down through the top with these screws. And then that way, if I'm in a real rush, I can take this whole thing off and put the other whole thing on, and then do all this screwing stuff offline. One of the biggest benefits to screwing the handles in from the backside is there's no clamps or anything on top, so I can do all my machining operations without screwing with clamps and moving things and forgetting to put ones in and all that stuff. Alright, first set done. Super duper stoked with how these turned out. Usually, well, almost always I'll make one set like I'm doing right now so that I can test the code, see if there's any bugs, any changes I need to make. As you guys know from all my previous videos, I'm an absolute anal perfectionist when it comes to the stuff that I make. So if there is a change to be made, if there's anything I see that can be changed or improved upon, I like to do it if I can. So I've only written down 5 changes for this machining operation. There's 29 separate machining operations to make what you see right now, the top side of the handles. So 5 changes is actually not that bad. I feel really good about that. And they're all very minor things. Here's one of our Damascus pocket clips. Hotness! Has not been etched yet. The Damascus ones, they're the first pocket clips I made from this batch. And you can see there's 4 screw holes in the bottom. The 2 big ones are threaded, so that's how the clip attaches to the knife. And you can see right there the 2 screw holes are screws, and then there's 2 pins sticking up, which are annoyingly different lengths. They just vary within the pack that I got. Anyway, so the pins go into the holes there and just help keep the clip positionally stable. Yes, it's screwed down, but sometimes the screws aren't good enough for me. You can start to see how the knife's coming together with no screws through the pocket clip. You know, it's like, how is it held on there? I think that's awesome. Because this is the first clip that I made 4 of them. I wasn't sure exactly how to machine those holes. I tried with a 1/16 reamer, and I broke the reamer pretty quickly. Wait, maybe this was before I tried with that. Anyway, I think for these holes, I plunged them with a 1/16 end mill, which is that guy right there. But plunging with an end mill does not get you a perfect diameter hole, because end mills can vary a few tenths up or down, mostly down, from where they're supposed to be. Anyway, the holes ended up quite a bit bigger than I wanted them to be. And if I put a pin in there and wiggle it around, it kind of wiggles more than I would want. With just the pins in there, no screws or anything, it does wiggle, which completely negates the point of those pins. However, like I said, the pin holes in the pocket clip were plunged with an end mill. It's not the best way to do it. The way that I did these holes in the handle, they were drilled undersized to 59 thousandths of an inch and then reamed with a carbide reamer to .0625 1/16 inch. And they are tight. Like, I can barely get them out with my fingers. I don't even know if I can. Yeah, I got that one out. But they're absolute perfect slip fit. Perfect, perfect. So luckily for all the pocket clips that I made in this batch thus far, I spotted the holes and then I drilled them at 55 thousandths, which is quite a bit undersized, and then I left them there. So all the holes right now are at 55 thousandths. So what we're going to do is manually go in there, either by like holding it here and just having the machine like automatically drill down, or I don't think a cordless drill will be stable enough. That's asking for broken end mills. Maybe we'll finally break down it by a drill press. But either way, we're going to drill them from 55 thou that they're at right now to 59 thou, and then ream them with the carbide reamer, and then they should be absolutely choice. So right now, basically, they're just located, and most of the metal's gone. So just opening it from 55 to 59, and then from 59 to 062 to 62 thou, it's going to be easy work and completely perfectly accurate. Dope. So the clips are going to be awesome. And hopefully those pins will do what I want them to do. If I can just get the tolerances perfect. I like it. I like it. Overall, super duper stoked. You can see my floating lock bar here. It's held in with a screw here and a screw, I think here or here. I can't remember which. So that way when you cut it out completely, it doesn't like flap around and vibrate all over the place, because it is held down. So I slotted that with a 1/16 end mill, which was nerve-wracking, but worked fantastically. Super happy, guys. This is going great. Make a couple more changes, make another set or two like this, and then open up the whole palette and start doing these big sheets here. So I've got some exciting progress to report on. Made 3 sets of handles so far. So there's my diamond pattern, this is my honeycomb pattern, lock side, and here's a plain one. I've never made a plain, no pattern Norseman before, but I think it looks amazing. And I put it together with a blade. This is the first one of this batch that's got a blade so far. And the blade's not finished or anything, it's just from heat treat. Still needs a lot of work to it, but it's got no detent yet, but it does have lockup. And of course it's sticky because I haven't carbonized it or anything messed with it. I just set the lock up and still needs some work, but love it. Things are coming together so good. Surface finishes are intensely amazing. Of course the camera is now showing almost more than my eye can see. So that's a thumb groove right there for the, to access the thumb stud. But the tolerances, this gap right here just turned out perfectly accurate. On a lot of the other knives we made before, that gap it varied in size. And you can see the blade to handle clearance on the old knife here. It's much wider. On the new one it's much tighter. Things are just lining up so nicely. I mean, I put a ton of time into designing this and making the fixtures and making sure that everything is exactly as good as I can possibly make it. And it's finally coming together and really starting to show. So I'm so excited to get finished on this batch. So yeah, things are going awesome. Diamond pattern turned out fantabulous. Clips are looking good. Everything's going good. So at this point, like I said, I've done 3 sets of handles individually, just tweaking the code. I made probably 30 changes throughout these 3. And right now I'm just gonna bite the bullet and do a whole sheet. Do a whole palette of 9 pairs of handles and call it good. Stop making changes. I'm sick of making changes because it doesn't feel like progress. Making a big palette of stuff feels like progress, but constantly changing and tweaking and stuff, and it's plenty good. There's nothing else I can think to change, so I've ticked everything off on my list, and it's a huge list. So what do you think I'm doing now? I actually have a Scotch-Brite disc in there. Scotch-Briting every handle via CNC. That humming you hear is just sort of the resonant vibration on that cutter in the, in the drill chuck. Not ideal, but it works fine. It just gets that gray finish off the titanium and makes them pretty nice and shiny. Right now it's doing a corner rounder. Last week I mentioned using my little loop that I stole out of a scanner to inspect my end mills and other things. And I got a few good suggestions for where to get better and more powerful loops. Check the comments of the week 60 video to see links to that, to where people suggested good things. Also, people reminded me that I have a USB microscope and that I could use that to closely inspect the loop, or the end mill. So I just wanted to talk about that for a second and compare the two. This loop, I'm not sure what the magnification is, but I'm guessing it's about 2 times. Because if I look at the part and then I look at it through the loop, it looks about 2 times bigger. The good thing is though, if I put this close to my eye can't focus that close. I mean, I've got really good vision, but you know, my eye just cannot focus that closely. But when I put the loop in front of it, I totally can. I can focus that close with 2 times magnification. So I'm getting really good view of what's going on at the tip of this thing. And the good thing about the loop is that I get a pure optical quality image. You know, it's not distorted, not pixelated or anything like that. Whereas the USB microscope, although it does magnify a lot, it's still a grainy picture and it's hard to see fine details. Now this camera does a pretty good job zooming in. If I can just get some light on it, maybe I will supplement using my titanium 4.7's flashlight. Where is it? That way. I don't like their new logo. I like the old logo. So the camera's doing an okay job. With the loop, I can see closer than that. Anyway, what I'm looking for is chipped edges, missing teeth, and whatnots. Now it's still hard to tell, at least on my little screen there. And I think the flicker of the LED is causing some issues. But this is a bullnose end mill, or corner radius end mill from Lakeshore. This is the tool that cuts all my honeycomb pockets. I was using a flat end mill before, but the corner radius just makes a way cooler cut. So this thing has already cut a whole ton of handles, and it's got a few little dings in it. Let's go to the USB microscope and take a closer look. So this is it right here. It's called a Super Eyes. I got this on eBay for about 20 bucks. There's tons of people selling them. Super easy. They've got a built-in LED with a dimmer. So you can go bright, dim, which is really cool because then you can get right up close to something and actually still magnify. Like you can see the screen in the background is magnifying on my hand there. If I go on the casting here, you can see. It's got a very short focal length, but anything with this kind of zoom, I guess, will. And you can sort of arc it and rotate it, and it's kind of awkward trying to align everything. But right there, I don't know if you can see that, yeah, definitely some chips in the side wall, which is funny because I don't cut that deep with this end mill. I don't know if I've ever cut that deep with this end mill, so I'm not sure why those are showing up. It's very awkward trying to do this, especially on film. Anyway, right there's a few good little chips on one of the radius cutting edges. Not a big deal. It's still making a fine looking cut, but it's obviously starting to wear out a little bit. I've cut a ton of honeycomb pockets. All my titanium paramilitary honeycomb ones that I did a few months ago was on this exact same end mill, so I've certainly, you know, it's paid its dues. The other thing with this USB is that the LEDs cause a weird glare on the end mill, so it's, you know, you're trying to look at a specific spot, but it's just glaring back at you, so you're not exactly seeing everything like you want to. Whereas the just an optical loop, you get to use your eyeballs and just top, you know, fluorescent lighting or whatever, and the image is just way better in a loop. Although this is good for getting way close, and I can even zoom in a lot closer with this thing. They're certainly a fun toy. For 20 bucks, I recommend this to anybody. They're really cool. You look at your fingerprints and all kinds of stuff. Super duper close. I mean, I can put this all the way to my fingertip, and once I get the focus just right, it will actually zoom in that close. And then you can also zoom it way out. There, that's about normal. So yeah, anyway. Cool for some things. For checking end mills, I don't know, I think I like the loop better. So I'm going to buy myself a 5 to 10 magnification, something like that, loop. And I think it'll be super awesome. So now that I'm getting into larger production runs and I'm trusting the machine to run more and doing more parts, so far we've made 36 pairs of handles in the past 2 days. It's been awesome. And one end mill that I've been really impressed with is this little guy. But that little guy, I wouldn't worry about that little guy. Name that movie reference. But this little end mill, it's a 1/16 inch stub length flat end mill, 4 flute, coated, from Lakeshore Carbide. And this thing's doing pretty heavy duty cutting the lock bar slot on the Knifs. This little slot right here. I don't get this water jet or anything like that. I cut it myself with this little end mill. And I was expecting this to be a high wear item because it's just cutting a slot that's 2 times the depth of the diameter. Normally they only recommend 1.5 times depth. But yeah, 1/16 diameter, 1/8 inch depth of cut. Although I do it in 2 passes, so 16th down and 16th down. But this guy has lasted for 36 handles. So it's got 36 lock bar slots, 4 pallets worth, and I'm so impressed with it. I was expecting it to break less than a pallet full, which is 9 handles. So the fact that I've gotten 4 pallet loads out of one single end mill, I'm just stoked. This thing is rocking my world. It is definitely starting to get a little dull, and looking at it with my loop, I can tell that probably the bottom 32nd of an inch is starting to wear out just a little bit, and it's creating a little bit of burrs on the cuts that it's doing. But luckily my chamfer mill cleans all that up. But otherwise, I'm just going to run it till it breaks and then replace it with another one. But the funny thing is, even though I just bought a whole bunch of end mills from Lakeshore, I forgot to buy more of these. So in a panic, I'm like, I got all these handles to make, and I rely on this end mill, but I only have one more from Lakeshore. So I went to my local tool supplier, which is just down the street, and I sort of frantically bought 6 replacements, pretty much identical end mills, but made by OSG. More expensive than Lakeshore's, and you know, I like to support Lakeshore whenever I can, but they're the same thing. They're just made by a different company. I believe they're made in Brazil. No, made in USA. Anyway, so yeah, I paid more for these to get them locally and to have them in stock, which is certainly a good thing to have. But the funny thing is, I don't need them at the moment because I'm still rocking this guy. And I've got, I think, 2, maybe 3 more pallets to do. And I don't think this tool is going to last that long, but who knows. So it's good that I have some backups. But yeah, it was kind of funny that I tend to do that. I freak out and I get things last minute, and I don't know. I try to plan ahead as much as I can, but you can't think of everything, so yeah. Anywho, that guy's still good. Let's check out some of these handles we've been making. Come along on this journey with me. 1 pallet finito. While this pallet was running, the honeycomb operation takes a very long time. Just cutting these pockets takes about 1 hour 40 for these 9 handles. But you just let it run. So, interestingly enough, when I first coated these, they took about 2 hours 40 for all 9 handles. And what I do is I interpolate down to get to the surface, which is the most gentle way to go down, or you can diagonal, but for this it worked good to interpolate down in a circle and then start cutting the pocket. But my starting height was, let's say, up here. That's grossly exaggerated, but and then it would interpolate down, so it's cutting air for more than half of the cut, and then it, so you know, say it goes down for 5 seconds and then it cuts the hole for 5 seconds or whatever. So I was wasting half my time doing air cuts. So I changed that to start just like 5 thou above the surface and then break down. And I took an entire hour off that operation, just eliminating air cutting time, which is incredible when you think about it. So that was pretty awesome. But anyway, the funny thing is, we just started running these pockets, and then my dad invited us over to his place for dinner. So took the kids and we just let it run. My wife stayed at home, And I told her, if you hear any funny grinding noises, you know, come out and hit the big red button. Otherwise, just let it run. And when it's done, turn the vacuum off so we're not wasting the compressor. And yeah, came home, parts are done. Psh, that was awesome. So it's certainly a gamble and a trust issue to let this thing run unattended, but you know, I'm getting to the point where I'm really starting to trust it and keep an eye on the tools and all that. But so anyway, we got more handles here. More handles here. These are all pairs. Bunch of diamond. I love these ones. Eric says it doesn't do anything for him. He's a honeycomb guy through and through. I could go either way. I love them both. But these diamond ones are wicked. So yeah, there's all these ones. Norseman, 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 Norseman. We put these together. These are completely flat. No texture, no machining, whatever. They might end up with inlays later on, but for now they're just flat, and we'll probably do a few of them. So here's a comparison between two handles. Hopefully the glare doesn't screw us here. This groove right here is an assembled knife. It's a groove right there. It's a thumb access groove when you want to do the thumb stud. That little groove just, you know, lets you ease in there and access it a lot better. So the way I do that is I 3D machine this tapered angle. It's like a 65-degree taper or something with a corner radius on all sides, or a fillet. And if you look really close, there you go. You can see every machining line. So it takes, I don't know, 20 steps down or something like that. I think I used a 5 thou or a 7 thou step down to do that. And then on the bottom we Scotch-Brighted it smooth, this handle on the bottom. So you just Scotch-Brite all those machining marks out, because although they look kind of cool, I think just having it smooth and shiny looks awesome. As my 3-year-old daughter says, nice, shiny, clean.
Nice, shiny, clean, back.
And the other thing is this front radius. We take a ball mill and do that. It's just a detail, no real purpose. But the bottom one, or the top one, you can still see the tool marks. Now I tell you guys, I did a really diligent job of getting my speeds and feeds right, using sharp tools and all that, but it still leaves tool marks. That's just the nature of machining. You know, you're trying to cut something with a single cutting edge 4 times per rotation, and it's bound to leave marks. So on the bottom, you can tell we Scotch-Brighted it down, and it got rid of pretty much all the machining marks. It's a balancing act, trying to get light and focus at the same time. So again, here's 2 handles. The lower one on the screen is right off the machine. The upper one has been Scotch-Brighted smooth. Again, I tried really hard to use good sharp end mills, good tool paths, proper speeds and feeds, and I got, I would like to think, amazing surface finishes for the machine and the tooling that I'm using. You know, that's a great surface finish. But still, we go the extra mile here at Grimsmo Knives and Scotch-Brite them down. So it takes a few minutes per handle to get all the edges just super shiny and smooth, but it's totally worth it. And yes, in the end we are going to be tumbling these anyway, so it's going to, the act of tumbling is going to remove most of those marks anyway, but we go the extra mile. Here's a piece of leftover that we cut off. The sheeted titanium I bought was longer than my mill travel, so I could do those 6 handles vertically, and then there's 4 more to be done, plus a whole mess of pocket clips here. Or sorry, 3 more. So I'll be mounting this onto the mill just by itself. At some point, those are all lefty handles, and mostly righty pocket clips with, I think, 3 or 5 lefty clips. 3. Yeah. And then Eric's got the same thing mounted here. These are the extra lefties. They'll be cut off. And then there's the sheet of, yeah, the top row is lefty, but all the rest of it's going to be a roidy. So we're getting there. Things are going awesome. Eric's got all the pocket clips. Super nice, shiny, clean. Still got some tour knives, guys. Got these sheaths. I never showed anybody these. I've been too busy with other stuff. But we had a few sheaths made by David Brown in Arizona. They turned out wicked. So we don't have a lot of these, but there are some available. If you guys are interested, let me know. So let's see what's left. Got another pallet of righties to make. I'll be doing that first thing tomorrow morning. I still have to go through my order list and see how many more diamonds to make. Mostly honeycomb though. So, but I need a few more diamonds. And then I have to write code for the lefty, the topside machining of all the lefties, which is going to be a pain in the butt, but I promised people lefties, so I am making lefties. And then get working on the blades. Probably not in this week's video, but certainly for next week's video, be machining blades. And then as soon as we can, get all these handles off to the tumbler, let them tumble, and then get them back and start finishing these knives. We are getting extremely close, guys. I'm hoping 1 to 2 weeks, probably 2 weeks before we start shipping, but yeah, we're working our butts off, so things are going really good finally. I love being in production mode. I've worked so hard and so long, so many hours and late nights getting to this point. You know, trying to optimize the mill so that I can keep it running as much as possible. I think yesterday I had the spindle running for 15 hours. It was so freaking awesome. A lot of which was fairly unattended. We were in and out and in and out, but yeah, just making batch after batch after batch after batch of handles. It was just awesome. I loved it. Well, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this week. I want to thank you all for watching. And a few days ago, Clara brought home pink eye from school, so we all have pink eye. It sucks. Anyway, see you next week, guys. Thanks. Bye.